Hello. Well, as you already know, I'm making these videos because we lost a lot of classes, due to the laboral and so many things in this partial and in this semester in general. So um, take these videos as a help, as a tool for your review, for your study. Okay. Sadly, I cannot, and I don't want to do a huge video, a large video. This is only a tool, and you should contrast this video with your notes, okay? The notes that you already have in territory, okay? So yes, try to do that in the same time, and this is, as I already said, your tool for your study, okay? So we are going to see Kant, okay? Well, remember that according to Kant, Kant has a lot it's a really complex thought, and the main topic or the main concept in Kant's thought is the reason, okay? Actually, he starts the Critique of Pure Reason, one of his biggest books, with this quote of the starry sky and the moral law, So, two of the big problems that Kant thought were precisely the thing of the knowledge, that remember that the knowledge is related or is the object of the study of epistemology, and the morals, okay, the ethics. That's the reason Kant makes a lot of questions, but well, the two of the most important ones are what can we know and how should we act, okay? This is really important because as you can see, this is an epistemological question, okay? What can we know and how should we act is a moral question, okay? It's an ethical question, okay? This is contained in his book The Critique of Pure Reason, and this is contained and is developed in the Critique of Practical Reason, okay? As you can see, the reason has a lot of purposes, okay, in Kant. One is the epistemology, the question what can we know, okay? We can know, for example, the nature and in what way we are constructing the phenomena of the world, okay? But the reason not only have this don't only have only this kind of use of to know the things, but as well it can have the use of how we can act with the others and how can we act morally, okay? Reason can be helpful in our daily life, okay? Perhaps reason can give us a way to act morally and ethically with other persons, okay? So can distinguish it between these two questions, and this leads us to the distinction between the to be and the ought to be, okay? That relies in the naturalistic fallacy, okay? We're going to see what is that. Okay, the to be is related with this question, what can we know? For example, I don't know, well, there are my books, this is a pen, we know this is a pen, we know that those are books, and that Kant proposes and analyzes several knowledge structures that can give us the idea and the concept of a pen or a book, for example, That is, in this case, the to be, okay, in a way, because Kant is not talking about ontology, but okay, let's say that is the to be. But, for example, the ought to be, I can use this pen in a lot of ways, Imagine that we are not talking about the pen, we are not talking about the books. Imagine that we are talking about, for example, a gun, okay? You can shoot with a gun, You can know how to shoot a gun, you can know the mechanisms that actually are acting when you are shooting a gun, but that doesn't mean, or that doesn't give you a criteria of how you can use that gun, okay? And that is really, really important. That example can be really helpful for this distinction, okay? In other words, if you know and if you consider yourself, or I don't know if you know this kind of person that are really, really, I hate those persons, but those persons that are like, oh, I know everything, I know everything about science, about love, about life. Oh, good for you, okay? But the fact that perhaps you know a lot of things doesn't mean necessarily that you are a good person, okay? You can know a lot of things and being a bad person, and otherwise you can being a good person, you can be a good person without so much knowledge, or you can be a bad person without any knowledge, okay? So the goodness or the wickedness of the person doesn't imply necessarily how much knowledge they have, okay? So we got this distinction between the to be and the ought to be, and at the end, the fallacy. What is the fallacy? If you think, for example, that to be, I am, for example, a black person, okay? If I am a black person, then I should act my duty, I ought to be, I should act as a slave, okay? If I am a woman, the to be, if I am a woman, therefore, my duty is to, my ought to be at home, to dedicate myself to my child, to my children. But that is a fallacy, okay? The fact that you are a woman, the fact that you are a black person, the fact that you are a Mexican doesn't mean that you have to act in one way or another, okay? You can be a woman and you can, please, be independent, be, you know, that is a fallacy, okay? Actually, this is like an stereotype, okay? Since you are in that way or in another way, you must be or you should act in this way or another. And that is a fallacy. That is not true, okay? And Kant is against that. Actually, this is something that starts from Hume and goes on with Kant, and is going to be really important in the contemporary philosophy, okay? So we got this fallacy, and what is the importance of this? That at the end, the moral acts, the action that we are doing don't depend of our nature, okay? Our nature of who am I, okay? If you, for example, remember Aristotle and Plato, if you say that the human being is rational, the to be, you should act, for example, with virtue, okay? That was Aristotle's idea, for example, okay? But this is like not any longer valid in this schema, okay? Then we have the imperatives, okay? This is a brief introduction for these imperatives. These imperatives, what is an imperative? A duty, a rule, okay? And we have two kinds of imperatives, okay? The first ones are the hypothetical ones, okay? The hypothetical imperatives, and they are attached to certain ends. For example, if I want to pass the exam, I need or I must study. I must study, okay? If I want to succeed in life, then I must work very hard. I don't know. As you can see, the first part of the phrase is the purpose, okay? Is the intention, and the second part is the action, okay? And in this sense, the action is related or depends from the purpose, okay? If you want to pass the exam, you must study, okay? What is the problem with these hypothetical imperatives? That at the end, the hypothesis or the ends can change. For example, my end can change, and perhaps, and actually it's quite different from yours, I don't know. And that doesn't give us a rule, a maxim of how we should act, okay? So another, and on that, in that sense, it's relative. We're falling in relativism in one sense, and in another, we don't have a complete rule or a valid rule of how we should act, okay? In this sense, we have a problem with the hypothetical analysis, the hypothetical imperatives. Sorry, Donder just got out of the room. And we have, well, since we don't have a normal rule that is valid for everybody, or that has a parameter of what is good or what is bad, Kant is proposing the categorical imperative, okay? The categorical imperative, as you already saw in your notes, has two forms, okay? The first one is, remember, act, so your rule, your maxim could be raised into a universal law. In this sense, for example, if you think that to kill somebody is bad, well, then in order to know if your action is good or bad, you must ask if you must ask if to not kill somebody or to kill somebody could be raised or be valid for every people, okay? To be a universal law, in other words, is that is valid for anybody, okay, for everybody. For example, not to lie, okay? If that is valid for everybody, then you have a categorical imperative that is valid for everybody, and then you have the certainty that you are acting good, in a good way, okay? But that is a problem, right? Because it seems that we don't have any single rule that could be raised into a universal law, right? It's really, really difficult. And actually, as I often said in class, that is perhaps something that we can attack to Kant, but at the same time is something that is valid or that is worth in Kant. It's something positive in my opinion, because at the end what Kant is saying is like, okay, so we could have a parameter, but human life is so difficult that at the end we don't have a complete certainty of our moral actions, okay? The second rule, or the second formulation of the categorical imperative, is that you need to treat the human as an end in himself or herself, okay? The human being is not a mean. The human being is an end in itself, okay? For example, the pen is a mean. I can write. The purpose is, the end is to write something, but the mean is the pen, okay? The same happens with all of this, okay? What Kant is saying is that we must try and treat any human being as an end in itself, okay? As a person. And that presupposes that that person is autonomous, okay? This gives us finally the Kant vision of what liberty is, okay? The liberty in this Kantian sense is the use of practical reason in order to act morally, okay? In other words, this liberty is kind of a condition of possibility to the categorical imperative. How or in what sense? The liberty, for example, when you act with freedom, with liberty, you don't have a complete certainty of your action, okay? That's the reason that you're autonomous. Only a being that is autonomous can act morally, okay? So yes, the liberty is going to be a choice, and only an autonomous being is free, okay? Has liberty. So the liberty can give us the possibility to act morally, okay? Think about your acts and the consequences of your acts. Actually, liberty in this sense begins with the uncertainty, okay? You are not free when you are completely conscious of what is going to happen, right? Actually, the real freedom depends on the uncertainty of what I don't know what is going to happen, okay? That's the real meaning of freedom in Kant. That yes, it's a use of this practical reason, but at the end, any single act, any single moral act, is not like a mathematical formula that I don't know, like 2 + 2 = 4. It's not that in that sense. To act morally is to respect and to be responsible for the other human beings. In what sense? That you are considering them as an autonomous being, as a person that are an end in themselves. But that doesn't mean that you have a complete certainty of your moral action. In other words, we are not completely conscious and we are not getting the certainty if our actions are good or bad. as I already said, it's really difficult to have a criteria or not a criteria, a criterion, an action that could fit in this universal law. So at the end, that is the liberty from Kant, according to Kant. That okay, you don't know if your act could be in with complete certainty of in this knowledge thing, but you must act, or in other words, you can't escape of acting. Okay, you cannot treat human being as a thing, as a tool. Okay, and that is like the main ideas according to Kant of freedom and well, a brief idea of the anthropology, the Kantian anthropology. Okay, well, I hope that this is good for you.